All right, you guys, appreciate you guys taking some time either live with us today or on the recording for the Wednesday Team Prosperity meeting. This is a weekly meeting where we just dive into things that have come up during the week or things that we think that will help you guys build your business, what we've learned up to this point, and the things that we're implementing as far as new marketing resources, keep you up to date on news, things like that. So today, what we're going to be looking at is when we're building the business and when we're going into typical summer months, May, June, July, August. In typical years, a lot of people take off and they do stuff. Might be even more this year with some of the restrictions being lifted and things of that nature. But I will tell you that I've seen it over and over and over again. Those people who do work diligently during the summer has an immediate impact on their business, but also those people, when those fall months roll around and we get back to school in September, when everybody's starting to restart, you're already in a nice rhythm and you've got a whole backlog of business that starts to come in. So like I said, make sure that you understand the immediate impact as well as the continuation of anything that you're doing right now. And right now is a great time to be aggressive in our business. As you start to build, manage, organize, even for ourselves, we have to realize that just jumping into the deep end and having that activity is going to get us through that learning curve. So we always talk about, yes, there's a lot to come into here as far as the moving parts, the technology that we introduce, what we do on a daily basis might be all brand new for somebody, but they shouldn't get overwhelmed. They've got a lot of help. They've got a limited role, and it's easiest just to start, make mistakes, trip over yourself. That's going to get you past the learning curve is the activity. Perfection, we're never going to achieve that. So waiting around for that, just a veiled way to procrastinate. So today is really what we want to see from partners. We have a business model where somebody can come in. It's a plug and play model now. We continue to build it out, more and more resources. So we're not looking for somebody who's planning to do something down the future. We want somebody ready to hop in, ready to plug in, and ready to be part of what we're trying to do, which is nationwide distribution of smart technology in a very big industry, solving a very big problem. So we just want people, like I said, to come in, have activity, and learn from that activity. Making it real is going to help, because if we're doing something uncomfortable and we're getting past this initial setup point where we're doing some of this stuff on our own, it's typical that we get to a place and we start to second guess the whole process, second guess ourselves, the ability to make this happen. So we want to make sure that we do some self-inventory. What stopped us in the past? And this is great for managing people, because part of managing is almost being a therapist for people and helping them walk through or talk through some of these typical obstacles. And then on the other side, when we get past all this, how is hitting your goals and how is changing your life going to feel, what it's going to look like? And then, what are we willing to do to make this happen? And some of this stuff has to be taken care of preemptively, especially on the partner side. When you're bringing in people, having a vision, sharing our vision is great. Having an interest in what we're doing is awesome, but being committed to the process of helping us is really what we're looking for in dedicated distribution partners. The worst phone call or the worst online meeting that you will ever have is always going to trump and always going to be better than the one that you didn't have. So understand that, yes, making mistakes okay. Having no activity and nothing on the calendar is not okay. We just did start a home run derby. It's pretty easy. The rules are very plain. Qualified client sales, home run. Qualified new partners, home run. So how many long balls can we hit? And we do have some cash prizes at the end of the tournament, $200 to first and $100 to second place. We will start another 12-week year pretty soon. We've been busy with some marketing resources, getting some stuff off the ground, but understand all we're trying to teach in the 12-week year is that for ourselves, the people that we bring on and manage, and for some of the client sales as well, the emotional cycle of change and the ability to understand where we are, fight through that to the other side to find success, rather than be that person that continually starts and stops the same cycles over and over and over again. And they never even make it to the other side. So we'll make an announcement for that. Anybody that wants to sign up, it is a great course to teach yourself the value of time, get the most you can out of each day, which over a combination of weeks, 12-week period of time, We can get more done if we master this system than most people do in a year. Last week, what we talked about was, digital changes spaces forever. Why are we doing this in the digital? Well, that's why. Being specialized in what you do, understanding the true value of your business components, the 3 steps to getting what people want, saying hello to inflation and how that impacts finances, making sure we're up on the news, and living in solutions and not dwelling on problems. So of course, all of this stuff is recorded. Try to give you guys a general idea about what each week is about to revisit if necessary. This week, things are really rolling for our team, our organization, and we're gaining some competitive advantages in the industry and within the companies that we represent that are getting ready to show a major impact. So understand, position yourself accordingly to take advantage of this. You're in a bull market for financial services. So understand that from an industry standpoint, financial wellness, financial services, all of this stuff is in a huge bull market for the next coming years. So you position yourself on a top line at a great place. And now what you need to understand is the financial combined with the technology, the FinTech opportunity. If you look, and we always talk about this over the last quarter century, what's created wealth, it's technological innovation and the ownership of that, the ability to create equity within that. You guys have an opportunity to do all this here if you're willing to work for it. Another thing that we're implementing along with this is the ability to be virtual, build virtual branch offices, sales teams, which gives us a huge advantage when you look at the typical brick and mortar, presentation and build out, because there's infrastructure involved, there's capital that's needed. All we've really got to do is get together, build a team, manage people effectively, and watch this thing grow nationwide. Remember, virtual does not mean chaotic. Just because we're not, meeting people face to face, having offices, physical offices to report to, doesn't mean that your day should just be random. Get dialed in, get systematic, understand what you're trying to do, why you're trying to do it, and hold people accountable and make sure they value your time. Don't be out there with your hands held out in the marketplace. You have value, you have meaning in the marketplace. Make sure people respect that and recognize it. So what that means is you've got to get organized. One of the biggest problems I see for business failure is organization and lack of time management. So you have to understand what your marketing strategy is. What are you trying to do? You have 2 sides of the business. You have client growth, you have partner growth. You have a toolkit, you've got resources, you've got technology that you use. You need to put this all together, because I can guarantee you, when you put it all together and things are in cycles of communication and you're starting to talk to people who've already been introduced to what you're doing and have general interest, it's a lot easier than having to manufacture that outbound demand. One of the things that I use is an automation system for LinkedIn called Linked Helper. And I think that from a messaging standpoint, what this is able to do is keep us in a continuous cycle of communication with people, because if it's manual, it's taking time out of my day, probably not going to get it done. Quite frankly, it's a waste of my time. If I can automate it and take my time and deploy it and put it into something else, much better use. I've been using LinkedIn for quite a number of years now. I will tell you that, for sales, I think LinkedIn is good for B2B, business to business. When you're trying to sell a consumer product, I don't really go for sales on LinkedIn. What I do try to do on LinkedIn continuously, and I will for the foreseeable future, is try to locate talent, people I can bring into my organization that can help me. So if I've got some type of a client blueprint where I'm going to for booked appointments that are on my calendar, great. Then what I need to also make sure is I don't neglect the other side of my business, and you can implement things that will greatly help you on the front side, manufacture some of that interest that we're looking for before we actually talk to people. Another thing that we all have to implement is calendars. And I'll tell you why. It's not just about being organized. It's about, a couple of things. Number one, if, you've got an appointment with Joe Smith, and Joe Smith's receiving constant notifications, reminders, emails, text, great. The probability that he's going to show up is greater, or the probability that he's going to cancel or reschedule is greater than just a no-show. Also, I don't know how long I've been using Calendly, but this is one of a couple of calendars that I use, and they're creating enormous databases for me of people that I've, met with, talked to, etc., that I can go back to for marketing purposes. So understand the value of what you're trying to do, not just organization, but building that database of people that you can go back to. Also, I can't believe I have to say this, but we need to make sure that ourselves and our partners are utilizing text. It's not 20 years ago where it's rude to text somebody with business matters. Text is a great way to communicate. I've got voicemails probably from a couple of days ago that I haven't listened to. I read, I think 100% of the text, and I respond back to probably about 70% plus. So understand, text is a great way to communicate with people. Don't neglect your communication methods. Use them all. You're going to increase your percentages by increasing awareness. And we just talked about this in terms of the calendar system, but you need to be reminding people if they've got appointments, calls, online meetings with you, whatever it is, you need to be alerting them, reminding them, because, for example, if you schedule something on a Thursday night for Monday afternoon and there's no notifications or reminders for the next Friday, Saturday, Sunday, probability that person's going to make that meeting is near zero. So understand what you're trying to do, filling up your calendar, but also making sure that a good majority of those people actually show up. The part about this business that's going to make you money is actually the most boring part. And I know that's kind of seems weird, but you have to understand that what we're doing on a daily basis, that daily activity, the ferocity of your follow-up, the methodology of your approach, all of these things is going to make you money. You are in the business of talking to people, contacting, educating people. The more that you're able to digest that and be okay with it, the easier it's going to be to go out and get this done. This is not something you have to do forever, but a lot of this in the beginning is going to be on you. And if you're not willing to do it, you're never going to build a sales force that's going to help you. Remember, the personal plan is so important because this allows somebody to have a metric to shoot for coming in. Our personal plan should be 12 to 15 appointments per week. Now, remember, what is an appointment? It's someone with a reason to do something, someone with a reason to talk to you on the client or the partner side. If we can get a branch office and multiple offices of people having 12 to 15 appointments per week, watch what happens to the individual income and the collective income of what you're able to do in the marketplace. We got to find the why. And I can tell you in client presentations as well as partner interviews, if we do not find the why, might as well just stop the conversation right there, because on the sales side, everything that we do is leading up to making sure we're building a roadmap to get them where they want to go. That motivational point, the why, whatever that factor is, if we don't have that, it's all just numbers. Same thing on the partner side. We got a great business opportunity, but why would somebody want to be one of our partners? What is it that they're looking to get out of it? The why is so important because when you introduce the next action step, that's the reason to take it. So understand, you got to uncover the why. And understand that when you're out in the marketplace, you're not pitching, you're not selling, you're making sure that people understand why you do what you do, the mission, the focus of what you're doing based on financial literacy, how money works, really helping people change the financial landscape and understand that even though they might not currently understand the rules of the game, we do, and we can teach, we can help, we can educate. And that makes them, in a position to make far better choices that have an immediate outcome and a future outcome of a lot of positive effects. We have to understand that when we talk to people, they're at a certain point. It's just like, the real GPS. Where are we now? Where do we want to go? What's the quickest way to get there? We've got some different vehicles depending on what they need to do that can get them there. But ultimately, it goes back to the why, because at certain points, what are they willing to do to get there? And then how do we fit into the plan? How can we help them execute this plan, build this roadmap, and get to where we need to go? You got to make a personal connection, whether you are setting up client sales, whether you're setting up for partner interviews, there's got to be a personal connection, because if there's not going to be enough information coming from the other side where, uncovers, problems, that introduces solutions, action steps, everything that we talk about. But if they don't trust you, there's no rapport, there's no credibility, they're not going to open up to you. So some of us are better at that than others. I'm not that great at the upfront small talk. Some of you guys are really good at it. So you have to understand your strengths and weaknesses. You have to work on the stuff that you're not good at, and you have to play to your strengths. But you have to make personal connections with people. You can't just go into a presentation stone cold, just presenting the facts, because it's never going to allow them to open up to you to get that why. Remember, numbers don't lie. Whether we're looking at the scorecard for a business partner of where their income's gone over the last 5 years, declined, flatlined, increased, whatever it might be, or whether we're looking on the client side, what are the possibilities? Numbers don't lie. So we need to understand that a lot of what we do based on math, code, smart technology. So if somebody is willing to follow the roadmap that we built for them, the only way that it's not going to work is if they don't use it. So you need to understand that people lie, numbers don't. What we have to offer the marketplace is a legit solution. And for you, when you're forecasting income, when you're looking at this business opportunity, you need to understand how to use the income calculator, because the income calculator is going to tell you what you need to do according to what marketing that you're doing to execute to get you to 6 figures, 7 figures, whatever it might be. Remember, the income calculator is great for vision, clarity, motivation. I don't like to just go into an opportunity and say, hey, I want to make a bunch of money. I want to say, hey, I want to make $500,000 and reverse engineer that, back that out to what I need to do on a daily basis. If you have something that has a marketing leg that's consistently giving you people to talk to, then all you got to do is show up. And remember, this is important. You might have done this presentation 250 times, but this is the first time that this other person on the other side has ever seen it. Saw a great quote by Michael Jordan the other day that he gave it his all every single game because he didn't know if this was the first time or the only time that somebody would be in the arena watching him. So understand what you're doing. You got to bring the passion, the energy. But if you've got something set up continuously, giving you partners, giving you potential clients to talk to, then you're just going to take in those swings. And if you take those swings daily, you're going to get better at what you do. Your conversion factors will go higher. And all of a sudden, the income and the revenue is going to start to roll in. And then all you got to do is teach other people what you're doing. Kind of brings us to a point. So if you're understanding what we're trying to do and what we've been able to accomplish up to this point, what we're building on the back end to help you guys, if you believe in something, if you believe in us, this opportunity yourself, you need to bet big. You need to bet your professional life, and you need to learn how to work with people who deserve your time, not need your time. They've got to do something on their side to be worthy of your time. And that's hard in the beginning because you have a small collective group. But understand that the habits you form now are going to carry with you. So when you're trying to build distribution, you've gotten the bad habit of just trying to give everybody your time. That's a problem. You can't do that. There's only so much time. So the other side has to deserve and earn your time, and because the time is an investment. It's very important. And that best investment that you're ever going to make is in yourself. So the first thing that we do is we work on ourselves, and we get to the point where we're good. We're rolling, everything's working, we're in a good place. And then the only thing that we have to do is take what we did for ourselves, and invest it in other people, look for talent, develop talent, watch what happens. 4 levels of understanding. So when we're trying to teach people, the first thing that I want to know from somebody, hey, did you understand what I just did? If so, great. Can you repeat what I can repeat what I did in similar situations? That means taking the basic education that we learned, taking those, knowing the transitions, everything about the presentation, and now I can present it to different people, maybe slightly altered just to be in that moment, in that environment with that particular type of person. I can explain it so that others understand, and I can apply it to different situations. So this is really the 4 levels of understanding. This is about being a producer, being a manager, and helping build distribution as well. When we look at our business, we got Instagram, Twitter, all these things that we can possibly, work from. I really feel that our core persona is really found in Facebook and LinkedIn. So if you can come in and you can start to work on these 2, we've got automation tools for both of these. There's a bunch that's going to be introduced to you guys, but you can keep yourself busy on these 2 platforms, along with some of the other lead generation systems that we have. And like I said, it goes back to that picture. If you're taking enough swings, if you're talking to enough people every day, you will find success. One of the things that we have to understand is that Facebook Messenger is a great place to take a conversation to from Facebook. Remember, we're not pitching, we're not selling, we're recruiting, or we're not recruiting, we're educating, and we're getting information out there enough to the point where people have general interest. And it usually comes from some type of a lead magnet, something of value that you can give away that somebody's at least interested enough in to give their contact information. We got a bunch of stuff in the works. We'll be introducing that, but understand when you're looking at messenger centers, Facebook is the leading messaging app in the United States. Another thing that we have to work on is when we're online is we got to get good at telling stories. Effective conversion processes tell stories. By incorporating stories into your content, whether that be stories of transformation for you, somebody else you helped, in generality, it doesn't matter. They're less threatening. It's easier to like, it's easier to read, and stories can help you become more trustworthy. If you're not a good storyteller, just practice, put stuff out there. And like we've talked about before, if you see a business partner starting something new, putting out a video, getting out of their comfort zone, even though that, they're not talking directly to you, come in there and help them out. Hey, great post, great message, really enjoyed reading this, whatever it is, because that one engagement, that one comment could spur other people to do the same thing. With 101 education and with storytelling, it's really all about structured story posts. So why do these work so well? Because stories sell, facts tell. People really don't listen until they feel understood. So by telling those stories of transformation, you may have hit something with them where they, buy into that or they relate to that. You always, guys, we talk about this. We have to have a goal or a target objective for our post. Are we trying to push somebody to Messenger? We're trying to put them in a funnel, getting someone to comment, getting people to opt in to whatever it is that we're trying to do. So we have a beginning, what we're introducing, and we have an objective, what we're trying to get them to do. Middle part is just the conversion. You get better at that by just practicing, altering, and trying and testing. So when you post, and this is something to really work on, choose a story of transformation or result. Create that well-structured post around it. Is it going to be organic or paid? Understand the platform. Post creates engagement. The prospect is going to be generally introduced to a product, service, or opportunity, and just leads to more conversations, which creates more leads, which closes more deals. So it's not hard, but understand that when you look at something online, it catches your eye. Take a minute to understand and reflect on why it did versus all the other crap that everybody's pushing out there. Learn from both sides. What's working, what's not working. Stay away from what's not working. Mimic what is. Your LinkedIn profile is really your, in the beginning, if you don't have a lot of online presence, it's going to be the center of your online professional world. So make sure that your LinkedIn profile is set up accordingly. Remember, when you're in business for yourself, this is not a resume type profile. This is a profile where people can get more information, interact, find calendars, find videos, a lot of the things that you want to do to what we always talk about, create the general interest. If somebody lands on my profile, I want to create some inbound traffic. I want somebody to message me, go to my calendar, watch videos, whatever it might be. And you also need to understand that the difference between platforms like Facebook and LinkedIn is that limited time right now, LinkedIn has still not reached scale, which means as an organic content marketer, they're going to give you a lot of opportunity to be recognized and they'll reward that. You'll see some of the stuff that you post, if it's decent, still be on there weeks later. It's not going to last forever, so take advantage. There's nothing better than working on something, putting it out, and getting a lot of reach that you didn't pay for other than that time invested to create. There's leads everywhere, guys, right now. People are on the move involuntarily or voluntarily from the pandemic. People are looking to increase their business, get aggressive during these periods of time, whatever it might be. If you don't have enough people to talk to, then either A, we're not doing enough to manufacture the leads, or we're doing something wrong. If you're having activity and not getting enough people to talk to, let us know, because we can diagnose what's happening. We can let you know where the problem, where the blockage is. No matter what you do, it's going to take 90 to 120 days. Even if you're getting spoon-fed calendar booked appointments, it's going to take a number of weeks to really get this up and running. That doesn't mean there's not going to be sales and conversion. I'm just saying that the massive wave of what you're building takes a little bit of time to build up. And when it starts to build up and that wave starts to crest, you're going to have sales coming in that you didn't really even expect to come in just from the work that you did before. Your funnel strategy is also important. So if you're taking advantage of a pre-built funnel for you, great. But if you're out there really trying to understand how to market online, it comes from a funnel strategy. And the funnel strategy just is, there's got to be a lead magnet. Your lead magnet has to be something that somebody finds value enough of to give their contact information. And then through the process of trying to qualify that lead, nurture that lead, either handle it yourself or hand it off, it's very, very easy to, once you build this funnel, to see where the problems are, correct that until you've got a nice conversion flow from the top to the bottom, whether that's partners, whether that's clients. You'll be able to tell exactly what's going on, how to build and scale, and get what you're looking for, not only for yourself, but if you can produce an overabundance of leads that you cannot handle, well, guess what? Now you've got runoff that goes to your team. Data-driven decisions are so important. We make emotional decisions, we mess up. When you make data-driven decisions, it helps you understand what you need to do. Going back to the income calculator, know exactly what I need to do to make X amount per month, per year, per week, whatever that might be. If you've got a 1% overall close rate, then guess what? At the top line, you got to have 400 marketing messages to get to those 4 closes. Once you understand your business, you can improve yourself, which obviously has monumental effects on the upfront conversion versus the back end conversion, and you can grow and scale. The awareness to the education, to the selection, to the onboarding, to the use, to the expansion. It's just you're introducing, educating people about problems they either know they have or didn't know they had, leading them through education to an aha moment and like a wow. This is something that will really benefit me in my life, to the back end. I'm going to get it, I'm going to use it, and I'm going to go online and I'm going to be a brand advocate for you. We talked about this a minute ago, but that lift in conversion on the front side, very small lifts in conversion can have huge exponential increases on the sales on the back side. So if you understand what you're doing and how to improve those at different points, it can have a huge impact in sales, recruiting, whatever it is that you're trying to do. We have to get organized. The more organized that you are for this business, the more organized that you can demand of other people get in this business, and the more organized collectively we can do across the nation in different sales offices, the easier it's going to be to really dominate and be aggressively, into what we're doing right now. So when you're taking those steps, understand that if you're getting better at different parts of your business, then you have to connect with people. We talked about this earlier. You have to expect objections, to expect some things that are going to happen, and either preemptively overcome those or make sure that when you get to those points, you know what to happen, or you know what to do when it happens. You don't get frustrated. One of the things that we have to do is actively listen to people. What do they want? Because they're going to tell you exactly what they want if you allow them to. Ask clarifying questions, educate the prospect. Don't oversell or just try to close the deal. Have a mutual one-on-one conversation about how you can help them. Remember, one of the things I try to do, especially in sales, is try to tell the person, hey, we're trying to build long-term business relationships with you, create success stories out of you, so you can in turn, hopefully, share what you've been able to accomplish with other people. And then clarify again if you understand them correctly. So a lot of this is just making sure there's no misunderstandings and you guys are having a one-on-one conversation. You're talking with them, not to or at them. The typical objections come from 4 areas. It's a lack of budget. Just can't afford it. It's a lack of trust. Hey, I don't know you. I don't know your company. Lack of need. I just really don't see the need for the product, or lack of urgency. A lot of this stuff we can preemptively overcome, and the rest of it overcome actually in the one-on-one presentations. All of these things can be overcome usually, and if somebody sees the value for what you have, we can usually get them using the product. This goes back to really what we just talked about a couple slides ago, but we have to make sure that we're not just glossing over the fact that people have objections, people have questions, people have concerns, people need clarification. So what we have to do is make sure that you give them, don't cut people off when they're giving you an objection, they're asking for clarification. And I even let them stop for a second or two to make sure I don't hear anything else before I come into the conversation again. Repeat back, validate your prospect's concerns, ask follow-up questions, use some and leverage some social proof. Set a specific date and a time for follow-up. This is very important. If you're following up with somebody, don't just send them the stuff over and just follow up. Say, hey, when can we get back together to discuss this further? Good day and a time. My calendar fills up. I want to make sure I give you the adequate time. And then anticipate objections. With the objection, you have to learn how to reframe. This is some of the most important things that we can do. So if somebody's got a problem, can that be reframed as an opportunity? Probably so. Can a weakness be reframed as a strength? Can poor timing can be reframed as perfect timing? So sometimes the objection can just be reframed. But once again, you have to give them the opportunity to voice that, talk about it, and then validate it. People fear money, you guys, and the quicker that you understand this and go into your presentations understanding this, the easier it'll be. So especially in some of those front-end education appointments, once you tell them there's no big decisions to be made today, it's an educational appointment, it tears down those barriers. It makes them feel comfortable and they will start talking to you. But understand, if I'm playing a game and I don't know the rules, and I'm losing this game very badly, then I'm fearful of people probably trying to take advantage of me because of my ignorance on the subject. So what we do and how we break down those barriers and those walls is we lead with education with no ability to buy a product on the front end, just education. That helps us out tremendously, gains the credibility, the trust, rapport at that bottom of the pyramid that we're always looking for, that will allow them to give you the information to uncover a problem that you have a solution step for that now makes sense for them to take the action step. Some of this gets frustrating. It gets frustrating dealing with marketing. It gets frustrating dealing with clients. It gets frustrating dealing with potential partners. It gets frustrating dealing with existing partners. You have to learn how to deal with frustration in a way that doesn't make you look weak or ineffective in your management style. So even though it might just be you right now, understand what you're doing, how you're handling the day is going to be what comes off when you're dealing with other people, sales teams, organizations. So develop the good habits now. Understand that every day is not going to be a winning day. Some days might be really, really, really terrible. But the overall culmination of what you're doing in terms of the activity, in terms of the education, and just sticking it out day in and day out, gets you where you need to go. We are looking to dominate this space. We don't want to compete. We're looking to dominate within the organization, within the company, within the industry, and this part of the sector, whatever we're dealing with, financial literacy, how money works, debt to wealth, whatever it might be, we want to dominate. So when you're out there looking for partners, if somebody wants to come in and make a little bit of part-time income, we have a place for them. But ultimately, I'm looking for somebody who really wants to come in and crush this. We at this time need to starve our distractions and feed our focus. If you're focused right now with what we're introducing and what we are going to be introducing over the coming weeks, there's no reason that you can't be successful here. We just need to learn how to get out of our own way and make sure that we give ourselves a chance to be successful. At this point, we have some things in place that we can just go out and get it. So if you want this, we have an opportunity and a model that can afford you whatever you want. You want to make 6 figures, you want to build 7-figure distribution, come in here, work for it. It is available. We'll see you guys next week. We'll continue just to keep working on our businesses, working on the things that come up, and getting you guys in a position where you continue to grow into more and more roles, whether that be education, sales, management, and that is going to lead this team over the top. We're trying to produce as many 6- and 7-figure income earners as possible.